What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Bourbon of the Week. My name's Chris. I'm going to be your host for today, and today we have round 3 of our March Madness Bourbon Bracket Single Barrel Edition, brought to you by the Great Whiskey Challenge. We have Rebels Distillers Collection. We have Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof. Let's pour these both up, but first, a word from our sponsor. That's right, throughout all of March, we are showing off some amazing products from Great Whiskey Challenge, and this is just another one of them. Check this out. This is their Master's Edition Blind Tasting Kit, the cigar option as well. You open this bad boy up and the first thing you're going to see is your cigar sitting beautifully in a nice wooden carrier right here. You put your cutter in here and your lighter as well. You take that section out and underneath you have your samples that you can bring along with you to any blind tasting. You're going to get 6 ABC hand-blown glasses with this. The pencil, you're also going to get 2 of your tasting podiums as well as 2 packs of notes that you can use. This kit right here is absolutely perfect for anybody who's into cigars. So make sure you check this out and use code BOTWMM at checkout on greatwhiskeychallenge.com. Link in the description below. Of course, for us today, we're just going to need our A and our B glass. There is A, there is B. Let's pack this back up and pour these glasses. Honestly, I love everything that Great Whiskey Challenge puts out, but those carrying cases are just so cool. But let's pour this up. We've got B over here. We've got A over here. Let's do this and see who's going to win and move on to our semifinals. Right to the pour line this time. I got this. Perfect. Solid pop. Easy. Here we go, everybody's favorite part. Let's mix them up. That should be good. Of course, we're going to talk about both of these bottles as we go, but everybody knows before we get started on all of that, time for the traditional sip. Cheers, y'all. Tastes weeded. So since Jack Daniel's is bottle A, let's talk about this bottle first. It is coming in at 129 proof. These single barrels do vary in proof. This is a Tennessee whiskey and it's a March Madness Bourbon Bracket Single Barrel Edition, but for all intents and purposes, this is obviously a bourbon. It meets all the criteria. This comes in at 80% corn, 12% rye, 8% malted barley, and apparently this is some of the best stuff that you can get from Jack Daniel's. As you can see, I have not drank a lot of this. This also tells us Barrel House 3-04. I don't know if that's important or not. Let's take another sip. Let's get this out of the way before we go any further, right? I did this blind. We mixed these up. We don't know which one's which. I've taken 2 sips of this one right now. I haven't drank any of this, and I can probably already tell you that this is the Rebel. We're talking 129 proof versus 113 proof. We're talking a pretty distinctive flavor from Jack Daniel's versus a wheated bourbon. Now, I've been surprised in the past. Actually, the last one, round 2, I thought I knew which one was the Four Roses OESK. It ended up winning, and I thought that it was going to be the one that lost. So anything can happen here. All about my palate tonight. But let's try this glass and talk about Rebel. Cheers, y'all. But listen, let's get into it and talk about this Rebels Distillers Collection. This was picked by Benash Liquors, which is over in New Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia. This is barrel-filled 2/28/2017, and this is where things confuse me, right? Distilled and aged in Kentucky for Lux Row Distillers, Bardstown, Kentucky. Now, assuming this is less than 4 years old, because in 2021, Lux Row was bought out by MGP. So if this was bottled after the buyout, I would assume somewhere on here it would have MGP or Ross and Squibb or Indiana or something, but it doesn't. So barrel filled in 2017 makes this less than 4 years old, but it's also a straight whiskey, so it's over 2 years old. That's all information. Again, I don't know if that 4 means anything. I thought Lux Row distilled their own stuff. It also says Lux Row Distillers on the top here, but that's just me overthinking. Let's take another sip of this glass over here and see what we think. Cheers, y'all. I still think that one's the Jack Daniel's. And again, we're not worried about which one's which. We're only going off of taste on this. We don't care about proof, drinkability. We don't care about anything like that or price. You know how we normally do it on our normal reviews. Just taste which one tastes better. Back to glass number 1. Here's the thing, Rebel calls themselves defiantly smooth, and I gotta be honest with you, if this is the Rebel, it's absolutely that. This one over here definitely has a little heat to it. I don't think it's anything overwhelming, especially if it's 129 proof, but that's why we do it blind. We don't care which one's which. Let's try one more sip. Going into this competition, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I didn't really think any bottle was going to blow the other bottle out of the water when it came to their particular matchup. That being said, I did not think the Jack Daniel's was going to lose to the Rebel for a couple of reasons. Number one, everybody loves this bottle. It seems like everybody who's picked up a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof has had a great experience with it. Two, this is a wheated bourbon, which isn't usually my favorite. That being said as well, Larceny kind of sits atop the list when it comes to my actual ranking sheet, so maybe this could do something to kind of surprise me, but as of right now, this glass is winning and I still think it's the Jack Daniel's. Let's get into another sip and see. That was a big sip and I kind of got to be careful because I only have so much whiskey. This glass right here is tough. I feel like it's good, not great. I feel like I'm getting some nuttiness off of it. I'm getting some floral notes, maybe even some red raspberries or apple or something like that. Some ripe red fruit, something like that going on here, but not a lot of complexity outside of that, right? Nuttiness, fruitiness, maybe some floral, not a lot of spice when it comes to this glass right here. Let's go back to this glass and see what we can get. The first thing that I do notice is this glass right here drinks a lot hotter than this glass right here, and it's nothing overwhelming, but side by side, it's definitely noticeable, and I do have to take that into account. I do think last year Jack Daniel's Coy Hill won, right? It was one of those things, and I've said it before, you have to get past the heat, and the only way you're going to be able to do that is if it offers you enough flavors to really forget about the heat. This glass seems to do this right here. It's giving me all the flavors that I love. I get a lot of spiciness on the front. You get some sweetness in the middle, which is kind of the opposite of what I'm used to. I'm used to sweetness on the front, spiciness in the middle. This kind of starts with the spiciness, then hits you with the sweetness, which is kind of a nice approach to things for me, because you're like, oh, this is just going to be, wait, no, there is some sweetness to this. You think it's just going to be all spice, but then they bring in the sweetness. And then I get a little bit of oak and some tannins on the end, which is just subtle enough to really round this glass out nicely. I like this glass, and compared to the first glass, even with that heat, I think it's winning right now. Jack Daniel's Coy Hill, it must have taken me, I would say, 2 weeks and half the bottle before I really started to appreciate it. But once you appreciate it, it's a damn good glass. I'll be honest, I'm kind of nervous with my callouts right now. This still might be the Rebel, this still might be the Jack, but I'm not 100% on that. And that's the way I like it, right? That's the whole reason you do blinds. You try and pick which one's which. You think it's this, then it's that, and that's the fun of it all. We're actually putting out a video later this month with Josh and Aaron from Stuff and Whiskey about why you should be doing blinds. So make sure you stick around for that, and if you're not already doing it, check out Stuff and Whiskey here on YouTube. Cheers, y'all. This gets easier and easier to drink as I go. As I say that, it hits the back of my throat and still burns a little bit. Listen, this might be an upset. The more and more I drank these, the more and more they became similar, and I have to stick with my guns on this. This is definitely going to be our winner, but I'm not 100% anymore that it's the Jack Daniel's when I was at the beginning. But let's get to it. Drum roll, please. Our winner is, and moving on to our semifinal rounds of our March Madness Bourbon Bracket Single Barrel Edition, it's A, which is our Jack Daniel's. This bottle right here, it's delicious, it's good, it's everything you're looking for when it comes to a bourbon. But at the end of the day, Rebel definitely put up a fight. I wasn't mad about that glass at all. Listen, if you've made it this far in the video, make sure you click that like and that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. Jack Daniel's winning here didn't really surprise anybody if I had to guess. It's going to take on either Benchmark or Mermaid Spirits in the semifinal rounds. If it can win that and then beat the East Coast, it's going on to take its brother, which is Jack Daniel's Coy Hill, in a live stream this year versus last year to see who really is the March Madness Bourbon Bracket Single Barrel Edition champion. So set your calendars for Friday the 17th, 5 p.m. to see who will be taking on Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Barrel Proof, Benchmark Single Barrel, or Mermaid Spirits PA Bourbon Squad pick. That's going to be an interesting round. But in the meantime, make sure you check me out on Instagram at Bourbon of the Week. Go click that follow button over there. Check out our Patreon page and our Discord. Both those links in the description below. Check out Great Whiskey Challenge. That link in the description below as well. Please don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly and stay healthy, stay happy. Stay drinking. Cheers, y'all. It's a bourbon.